All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. So, now that we're at the midway point of the season, question, who right now should be considered the front runner for the NBA MVP award? And there's a lot of good candidates. Now, on NBA.com, I was looking at it the other day, and they had their list of, top candidates, and they had Joel Embiid, number one. Nikola Jokic was in there, and I think he was number two. Giannis was in there, number three. Of course, players like KD, they're pretty much out of it now due to injury. Chris Paul was up there. Stephen Curry, who started off this season with a bang, but, I'm not going to say fizzled out, but he went through a long stretch where he was going through a shooting slump. And, overall, his shooting percentages are much lower than what we're accustomed to seeing from Steph Curry, even though the Warriors are still winning. But it's a good race this year. Me personally, I think it's really coming down to three candidates overall, and that is the first three players I mentioned, which are Embiid, Jokic, and Giannis. Now, Jokic overall, I think, is having the best individual season, not by much. It's very close. But Jokic actually has the highest PER so far this season. He has the highest PER for a single season in NBA history, and Giannis this season is number two. So both of them are having historically great seasons. Embiid is having a great season as well. Of course, when people think of Nikola Jokic compared to players like Giannis and Embiid, most people might, well, I'm not going to say for everybody, but some people might give Giannis or Embiid the edge because of what they bring to the table defensively. Just by the numbers. Now, I know when it comes to these advanced stats, they aren't perfect, but I think they do tell a story. I don't think anything based just off stats is the end-all be-all. They don't tell the whole story, but they tell part of a story. But not only does Nikola Jokic lead the league in total win shares and win shares per 48 minutes, but he also is number 4 in the league in defensive win shares, which is above Giannis and Embiid. Now, some people might think, well, how is he that high? Well, people don't understand. When we talk about defense, number one, Jokic is not just a slouch on defense. That's number one. But we have to factor in rebounding. Defensive rebounds, they end the other team's possession. And Jokic is averaging nearly 14 rebounds a game this season for his squad. So that, to me, is a big part of the reason why he is as high as he is in regards to the ratings for defensive win shares. And we know offensively, he's having a historically great season. As I said, the man's shooting around 56, 57% this year. And also, damn near averaging a triple-double at center. I mean, that's something we haven't seen since the likes of, Wilt Chamberlain or somebody back in the day. And he's doing it in this era. Jokic is the best passing center in NBA history, no doubt about it. And not only is he leading the league in PER and win shares per 48 minutes, also box plus minus, value over replacement player, like all these stats that you can find, all these advanced stats that these analytic dudes come up with, he's number one in every single category. So you would think just off of that yes, he would be the most valuable player. And I do think he does mean the most to his team overall because of the load he has to carry on offense and because he's been consistent on defense. But does that mean he's going to get the MVP? So let me say this. Let me answer my own question about who I think deserves it. I think Jokic is the most valuable player. But do I think he's going to get the MVP award? It depends. When we look season by season, going back in the history of the NBA, not almost 8 to 9 times out of 10, it's going to go to a player on one of the top teams in each conference. No longer than, I would say, the number 3 seed in their conference. Unless you do something extremely otherworldly, something that we have not seen or something that we have not seen in a long time, like Russell Westbrook when he averaged a triple-double back in the 2016-2017 season. We didn't see that in about 50-something years since Oscar Robertson did it. Michael Jordan in 87-88 when he led the league in scoring and also was the first player to have over 200 steals and 100 blocks in the season. So, things like that. I think he was like the 4th or 5th seed in the East that year. So unless you're doing something that historically great, usually they're going to look at one of the best players on one of the top 2 or 3 teams in their conference. So Jokic is number 6 in the West right now. He would, for me to believe that he would be able to get the MVP this year, he's going to have to climb to about number 4 at the lowest. And I even just said usually it's no lower than number 3. But just if he could get past, because right now they're below Dallas. They could probably catch Dallas, maybe. Who knows? They might catch Dallas. They could potentially catch Utah, maybe. But they would still be behind Golden State or Phoenix, Golden State, and Memphis. That might still be too low for the voters, but that might make them think like, okay, he's number 4. Depending on how many games back the Denver Nuggets are from Memphis, let's say Memphis, if they're still number 3, then they might really consider Jokic like, okay, he's having another historically dominant season. But he would have to climb up in the standings. Most likely, Giannis and Embiid, their teams are probably, even though it's competitive in the East, I will say that it's competitive in the East, but I can see them maybe finishing higher in their conference than Jokic in his conference. I think Giannis and the Bucks right now are number 2, and it's real close. I mean, they shift around every day. I just saw the Bucks last night destroy the Lakers. Giannis was dominant. He was dominant, man. And, of course, Embiid, for the last month, he's been dominant also, so he's got his team back on track. Right now, they're number 5. I think that will change. Like I said, the East, they shift around day by day. The top 6 teams in the East, they're all right there with each other. So, but it really all depends about how all these teams that we're talking about finish in the standings. Like I said, if they all have very similar seasons, which they're having thus far, then it's going to come down to how they finish, what seed they finish in their conference. And right now, just off a prediction, I think the Bucks are going to probably either be the number 1 or 2 seed in the East to finish the season. That's just my personal opinion. And by the end of the season, I think they might start to lean towards Giannis, potentially overall, just based off the overall seeding and where they finish. But who knows, though? Because also, and I'm just kind of thinking out loud, I'm freestyling right now, the East, so the top teams in the West are much higher record-wise than the top teams in the East. So with that being said, I mean, if Jokic does finish with a record that's similar to the Bucks or the 76ers, then hey, they might just base it off of, Jokic plays in the tougher conference. Overall, to me, I think Jokic is the best overall player in the league this year, right now. And he deserves recognition again. But we'll see how things play out. So, once again, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. And everybody that's new that subscribe to my channel, I appreciate the love and support. And I'll have another video coming out soon about some of my finals and playoffs and finals predictions. So, I appreciate everybody again. Thank you. As I always say, all glory be to God.